Welcome back to Spider-Man Week, everyone, where we will conclude the Sam Rami Trilogy. That is right, we are at number 3, Spider-Man 3, a movie that had a lot of promise to everyone. It was to be the biggest film of the franchise. There are some times when a third film fails to be a great ending. There are some times when a third film will be the transcendent of the previous film. It would be a natural step up to the, from the previous film to the next film. Does Spider-Man 3 do it? No, but yes. There are certain qualities in this film that we are going to talk about a little bit later in the review, but first, let's start off with the story. Peter Parker, after a couple years, once again, from the previous film, is now willing to propose to Mary Jane. He wants to get married to Mary Jane Watson and live a life with her. And at the same time, Thomas Hayden Church plays the Sandman, as he is being pursued by cops because he is an escaped convict, and he plays a bigger role in Peter Parker's life than an audience would initially ask for. We also get Harry Osborn, who is also kind of pissed at Peter for obvious reasons. He thinks that Peter Parker killed his dad with his glider. So there is this natural sort of progression from Harry Osborn's storyline. Anyway, so Peter Parker finds out that Thomas Hayden Church, Sandman, was the one that actually killed Uncle Ben. And I gotta be honest here, I like what they do with Sandman. Granted, he's not in the movie for very long. I do like, however, how his story kind of plays into the dilemma of Peter again. Peter Parker's dilemma in this film is wanting revenge. This whole film is a Shakespearean revenge play. And they don't really follow through with a lot of it. They don't. And there is a couple particular sequences that really bug the hell out of me. Particularly when Venom is introduced. Now, Venom is one of my favorite comic book villains of all time. I really like the idea of a symbiote taking over a person's body and making them do things that they may or may not wanted to do. And that's Venom. And, it follows the basic storyline of how, Venom is created. Venom comes on a meteorite. Venom attaches to Peter Parker. Peter Parker gets a black suit, but he loses the black suit and attaches to Eddie Brock. The problem is that they do it in a very haphazard way. See, what many people have already discussed about Spider-Man 3 and its shortcomings is that there was a lot of studio involvement when it comes to introducing Venom. In fact, what Venom was originally supposed to be was Ben Kingsley's version of the Vulture. Vulture was supposed to be the character that symbolized the ravenous desire to seek revenge. But I guess the studio wanted it to be a little bit more tongue-in-cheek when it comes to discussing the issues of revenge and how it becomes venomous, for a lack of a better term. I do think what they were trying to do with it was kind of interesting, but there's one problem that I find with Eddie Brock. He is the most insufferable character in this entire movie. Every time I saw him in this movie, I wanted to take the disc out and throw it out the window. That's how bad this character is. He is annoying. His voice is grating. His behavior is snarky. I hate this character. This character is almost... I don't even know much about Eddie Brock. I don't know much about Eddie Brock. But if he ever acted like this in the comics, where he was very stuck up, very snootish, very, very dull of a character, then I'm sorry. I don't know how people would attach themselves to Eddie Brock as being Venom. I really don't think so. Now, there's this other thing we also have to talk about that has also been discussed, and that's the jazz scene Play it.
Look at this. Somebody come look at this. Look at this. Somebody come and look at this.
Peter?
This is for you. Double time.
What this is. Oh my god, what the fuck is that, bro? Jay, what the fuck is that? What the hell is it? What the fuck is that? We're seeing some shit we ain't never seen before, kid. Oh my god, man, we are seeing some shit we ain't never seen before. What is that fucking thing? Hey, look at this fucking thing. Oh my god, look at this thing. Oh my, look at this fucking thing. Holy shit. Holy shit, Jay. Oh my god. Oh man, we need to fucking go get that shit, bro.
That scene happened in a Spider-Man movie. A Spider-Man movie. Do you not know how confusing this was to me as a child? I had been looking forward to an awesome follow-up to one of the biggest superhero films of all time. This was one of the movies that I really wanted to go see. Just from the trailers alone, making it look so epic. Just to see that scene in this movie. I don't know. I don't know. It's one of those scenes that just comes out of nowhere. They could have done a better job at what they were wanting to do, which I know what they wanted to do. Granted, I have no confirmation of this, but as a screenwriter, I think I get what they were trying to go for here. Because the black suit or Venom manipulates a person's ability, and they magnify their inner desires, their inner, their inner characteristics, it makes Peter seem like an arrogant asshole, which is also something that happens at the beginning of the film. See, Peter Parker is also dealing with the fame. He's dealing with, the fame of what Spider-Man has become. New York loves Spider-Man, and in fact, he's going to get the key of the city in this film. But Venom, I believe, was what they were using Venom for is to amplify the characteristics of accepting this fame that came from him becoming Spider-Man. But they did it in such an annoying way that it doesn't really salvage the film a lot. I can understand what they were going through with the screenwriting. I understand, how that sort of stuff works out. But again, it's that scene and the total goofiness of everything that comes before that really kind of ruins the film just a tad bit for me. And aside from that, again, Topher Grace as Eddie Brock is still freaking annoying. And another character that felt also kind of worthless in this film is Gwen Stacy. Gwen Stacy doesn't really serve much of a purpose other than to be the girl that Mary Jane gets jealous about because Gwen Stacy kisses Spider-Man at the Key to the City party that happens. Look, there's no easy way to go about this film. This film is arguably one of the worst sequels ever. But here's the thing. I kind of feel sympathetic towards it. There's a lot of good intentions that come about in this film. As I mentioned before, the whole point about him being a little bit arrogant about how he's become this sort of icon, this sort of symbol, and then having that stuff be amplified by Venom, that I get what they were trying to do, but the way it comes off is so much different than what it may have been on paper. I really do think that you had something right here. But it wasn't that good. This is the hugest problem with the film, is that it has an inconsistent sort of plot thing. There's so many plot threads that spread throughout this whole film that it becomes a messy, tangled up web full of ideas and concepts that don't really fully pan out. Now, these are kind of my suggestions on how you could have fixed Spider-Man 3. Take out Venom, take out his confrontation with, like, having to be this symbol of New York, but still play up the fact of revenge. Still play up with, you know, the things that he wants. He wants to get revenge on Thomas Hayden Church for killing Uncle Ben. You know, he wants to get revenge on Sandman. Whilst at the same time, he is observing Harry Osborn's sort of revenge scheme. You know, you have this dual layering of dramatic coincidence where both characters, both the side character, his friend, and Peter Parker, our lead, are facing similar situations with revenge, but you could have had a nice little confrontation between the two revenge stories. Now, granted, I don't exactly know if that could have helped fix the film, but I think it would have been a little bit of a much better turnout if you had gotten rid of the entire thing of Venom, the entire idea of Venom. And I have to agree here with pretty much everyone else again that Sony interfered way too much with the production, and I feel that if they let Sam Raimi do what Sam Raimi does, there probably could have been a better film in this. Yeah, there's some points in this film where it's not very good, but there is other scenes that I really do like that are really, really good. For example, the birth of the Sandman scene. That whole sequence is done in pantomime. That whole sequence is done in silence and really beautiful music. And it's, again, one of the most effectively done scenes in this whole movie. I like it. I really do like it. But, again, there's also so much bad stuff in this film that it becomes almost grating. So, what do I honestly think about the film? On the one hand, I like it. Now, don't shoot me, but I kinda like it. But then at the same time, I get why everyone really hates it. And I hate those scenes too. I hate those scenes where it kinda really jumbles up the film and it becomes an incoherent mess. But at the same time, I like the attempts of what they were trying to do with the film, and I honestly commend them for what they were trying to do. It's not an easy task trying to make a good third film, and if it wasn't for studio involvement, there probably could have been a great third film and a possible fourth film. Maybe with Vulture, which is something that was a plan for Spider-Man 4, with Tobey Maguire and Sam Raimi directing. But unfortunately, they didn't want to do that, so yeah, we'll discuss that one tomorrow. But all in all, I think Spider-Man 3 is a bit of a jumbled mess. It's not a great trilogy ender. It's not a great film, and it's not a good film by any means, but I understand certain things that they were trying to do with the film, and I kind of agree with some of their points, but it could have been done a lot better. So, what's my final score for Spider-Man 3? Well, in my opinion, and, to end this off, I'm going to give Spider-Man 3 a C-. It definitely is a downgrade from Spider-Man 2, but again, I could also see the positives that could come from a movie like this, and the possible themes that could have been if Sony and Columbia Pictures had not stepped in to ruin a movie that probably could have been a great trilogy capstone. So, yep, that's all I have to say about Spider-Man 3. Thank you so much for watching, Webheads, on Spider Week, and tomorrow we are going to be rebooting the show just so that we will be reviewing The Amazing Spider-Man, a reboot that has a lot of people going, why did they make such a thing? So, I'll see you in the next comic issue, dear Webheads. Excelsior!